Hello friends, it's Farmer Justin here. Welcome to episode 3 of Nearby Nature. You can see here I have a few gourds and squashes and pumpkins that I've just set up, and as we look at them we can see that we all probably know what they look like on the inside, as we have cut jack-o'-lanterns before, and so we know all the seeds. And it just got me thinking about some other things in the garden that have kind of different exteriors from the interiors, so how they look on the outside differing from the way they might look on the inside. So first thing I want to focus on this week was going to be this funny looking thing, which is actually a type of nut. So we think of acorns, and maybe you've seen a walnut before, which has a funny outer coating too. But this is actually a hazelnut. And so if we open up this sort of papery hull, inside we can see the hazelnut. And then the nut itself actually protects the part that we eat, or the shell of the nut protects the part that we eat. So we grow these in the garden. I think they're pretty cool looking. And this is my first harvest of them. And I'll include another picture of it too. But you open them up. And so as they get a little bit more dried out over time, they start to get more brown, like this one. And the paper, it's a little bit damp right now just because we've had a lot of moisture in the air, so they don't crush very much, but they would eventually crush just like a regular leaf does. And these protective coverings, and they come in little clumps like this. And here's a few of the hazelnuts, or filberts, that we've collected here. These are kind of small, but they're still edible. I could open one up and eat them. Next up, I thought I'd take a look at one of these, which you may have seen around the garden. And these are called ground cherries. This one's got a little bit of blacking on it from just being wet outside. Again, it kind of gets a little bit of a mold or mildew. But inside of it, is a very tasty, sweet orange fruit. So again, that's the husk cherry. And sometimes you'll start, if you can look at it very closely, you can't quite see it here, but there's almost like a little mesh or a web of lines, and eventually the thicker part of the skin will rot away and just be left that mesh. Here's another plant that we grow in the garden. This is in the same family as peas and beans, and it gets these little pods, which you can probably hear them rattling around a bit if we open it up. This is called false blue indigo. And you can see the seeds there, just waiting to come out. They're very cool little plants, and they're really dry right now, but they're sort of a purplish blue when they're still in good shape, when they're still fresh on the plant. Set those aside. Next up is a bean. And beans come in all sorts of great shapes and colors, but this one should be sort of a flat bean, and it should be northern bean, northeastern bean, and so it should have these white little beans inside of it. Very cool. We have a few of those. Another type of bean, which some of you have seen around the garden. This is a scarlet runner bean. It's also a flat bean, and it grows these great little red flowers that are delicious. But the beans themselves are really cool on the inside. Let's see if we can get it open. Look at that. Colors on there. It's a beautiful pattern. You'd hardly know it from the outside, right? Just looks like a bean. Scarlet runner bean. These are pretty big, actually. There they are in comparison to the little northern beans. And as they get more dried out, this one should be a little bit less purple than the last one, but color. More pinkish purple. As they get more dried out, they will become a little bit more muted, sort of brownish color. There it has it with the papery skin protecting it. Open it up. Look at that color. Look at that. There's one that's a little bit more dried. So we can look at the color of them. A little bit different shapes, sizes rather. But so they sort of lose that really vibrant purple color and move on to sort of more of a black and pink. These also look like little beans, but this is a totally different family, and these are much smaller. This is from a turnip plant, so kale, broccoli, all those will have the same thing. If I open them up, much like the false blue indigo, it's a little pod with a bunch of little seeds attached to it. And so those seeds are all going to be pretty similar looking. Little round seeds, typically sort of a brown or black color. And my last thing to look at on the inside is another one that is a little pod. It's a milkweed, but this is a swamp milkweed, and you'll notice the pod is just a little bit smaller, and it's got lines. The other ones sort of look like alligatory skin, but if we look inside, you can see a bunch of seeds with almost feather-like hairs coming off of them. And I bet you know why we want those little feathery hairs coming off of a seed. Why do you think that is? Ooh, and as the wind picks up here, we might even find out. We can see that this will blow away into the wind, and it becomes seed for next year. So there you go. Take a look inside of things. Be gentle and be kind to nature, and you might be able to find some really interesting things. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.